Welcome back to another episode of the Hormone Hub podcast, where we talk all things perimenopause, menopause, and have the conversations no one else is having. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Hello, ladies, and welcome back to the Hormone Hub podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Pinwell, and today I'm very excited to have Susie Garden on the show. Susie is a good friend of mine. We just had a week together in Bali, which was amazing. Susie's a passionate naturopath, a clinical nutritionist, and a yoga teacher with a special interest in perimenopause and women's weight loss. Susie's signature system is the Glow Protocol, which helps women have glowing skin, abundant energy, symptom relief, and healthy weight loss. So no more confusion, no more frustration, just results, which of course I absolutely love. So Susie, today we are going to talk about what happens to your skin during perimenopause, which it's something that we all noticed. What do you feel? So welcome, Susie. It is great to have you on the Hormone Hub.
Thanks so much, Kylie. It's such a pleasure to be here today and to see you and talk about skin, because it's something that I'm really passionate about. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Susie, I just want to mention, Susie's got a really interesting background. So she spent almost 2 decades working as a registered nurse and also in the pharmaceutical industry before she sort of came into the world of natural therapies. So Susie's got this beautiful blend of, nursing, pharmaceuticals, as well as the natural therapy side. And Susie and I have had so many conversations about it doesn't have to be either or. It can actually be both, which I think is so important for people to know. And ladies, we're giving you permission. It can be both.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I know. I kind of feel sometimes like I've come to the dark side by coming into natural medicine. Sometimes I've seen the light, just depends on which side of the fence you're on. But as you said, you don't have to be on one side of the fence or the other. We can work beautifully together with natural health, natural medicine, and conventional medicine. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. All right. So skin is something that it's not something I talk about often on the podcast because it's really not my skill set. If someone's got eczema or someone's got psoriasis, certainly we can address that, but it's sort of not kind of my first go-to. But definitely, and as we do this, I'm on Zoom looking at myself and I'm sort of doing the squeezing back of the forehead and the head.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely we kind of hit perimenopause and our skin changes. So why, what's going on? Why so many changes? And please don't say it's just because we're getting old.
Oh, no, there's a few things going on. I mean, there's obviously the hormonal changes and primarily the drop in estrogen, because estrogen, surprisingly, I was actually surprised when I first became aware of this, how important estrogen is for our skin's health, for our skin's appearance, because estrogen impacts our hydration, our elasticity, our collagen production. It also influences our skin thickness and wrinkles. So there is actually a direct link. Yep, you and I are now both touching our faces.
We're both doing
it.
Facelift as we're looking at each other.
Yeah, exactly. Because it impacts our ability to hold moisture, it does impact on wrinkles and things. So there is quite a lot that estrogen is impacting when it's dropping for us. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today. So that's one aspect. Also, I think when we're getting into our 40s, our stress levels go up, and stress absolutely has an impact on our skin, primarily through the gut health, which is the third one. Gut health can often be not so great in our 40s and 50s because of many, many reasons. So there's a whole bunch of things that are going on when we're in our 40s and 50s and beyond, when we're hitting perimenopause and postmenopause. And that is why we can see so many kind of differences in our skin, including even some of the inflammatory skin conditions like eczema, like psoriasis, can actually worsen in perimenopause because of this. And that's something that I've experienced personally. So I'm happy to chat about that as well.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it. So obviously there's that elasticity that we can feel, but quite often women start to talk about, and I notice like the pigmentation comes up, but it's just not quite
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. And it's really annoying.
Yeah.
It's really annoying. So let's start, I guess, with hydration, because I think that's a really important part of it. And this is one of the key things with estrogen, because it does influence our ability to keep our skin hydrated. When our estrogen does drop, our cells can actually just open a little, and that sounds really disgusting, open a little bit, and actually the fluid just can't be contained in this. And that's why we can get that dryness that we can get with our skin. That's how it will appear on the face, is maybe a little bit of peeling skin, dryness, that tightness. For me personally, I suddenly had eczema, which I'd never had before. And I just thought it was, I had hay fever growing up. I'd grown out of that. All of a sudden in my 40s, I've got eczema. And I actually thought I must have had a dairy allergy or intolerance. Yeah. I was in my final year of my nutrition qualification. So I was in my sort of early 40s, and I was stressed because it was around exam time. So I just thought, it's stress, and maybe I'll just go off dairy and that'll fix it. And it helped probably a little bit. It actually helped a little bit with my joint pain that I had at the time. But yeah, I still was getting, particularly on my hands, I thought it's from hand washing, must be a contact dermatitis. But then it started getting on my face, around my eyes. And that's, as a woman, that's when you really start to take notice, because you can't hide it. When you've got dry, peeling skin on your face, you can't put any makeup on it to fix it or to hide it, because it will just stick and flake. Yeah. So it was only then that I really started looking into it. And sure enough, because of our drop in estrogen, we can develop these worsening. If you already have things, particularly psoriasis, it does tend to get worse, but you can actually develop an adult form of eczema. Now, there's generally food-related kind of sensitivities in there. And I know I've done the hair testing that Kylie does in her program, and that definitely showed for me some areas that I needed to avoid in terms of foods. I also did, with my own program, a foods list, which showed very similar foods. So I knew, and for me specifically, it was tomatoes, which I found really weird, because I didn't realize how many people are sensitive to tomatoes. But yeah, removing that and doing some other things to help support my skin helped a lot. And I'll get into support a little later on, I think, because a lot of the things that you can do to support, for example, eczema, will support other things. But yes, that dryness and that lack of ability for the cells to hold moisture, fluid, water, is what happens with this drop in estrogen. And that's why you can get these wrinkles, you can get these dry patches or just skin coming off, which can be quite devastating, to be honest, to have that happening and not being able to kind of get rid of it and not being able to hide it.
Yeah.
It's not nice.
No, and I think because I speak to a lot of women, and because there's so much going on with them physically, mentally, emotionally, to all of a sudden feel like they're looking old and like really feeling that, particularly if there's joint pain and there's debilitating symptoms going on at the same time, they can just feel. And I had the conversations, and it's that loss of confidence.
Yes,
all of a sudden we've got one foot in old lady town, and no one
absolutely
their foot over there.
No, and unfortunately, no, because we have certain perceptions of what that's like. And particularly if your first experiences in peri is you can't sleep and you're putting on weight and you're bloated and then your skin starts falling off your face. It's just like, oh man, is it just going to keep getting worse and worse? You know?
I just feel like the bearer of bad news on these podcasts. So we talk about all the worst case scenarios.
I know. And you know what?
About it.
This is what's beautiful about the work that we do, Kylie, is that we do have at least some, if not all of the answers. And a lot of it is what we can do in our day-to-day lives in terms of what we're putting on and in our bodies. And that's what I love about natural health, is we're not necessarily waiting for everything to go south. We are in there working on things to get into that underlying cause to improve how women feel, how women look, how women move in their bodies. Just love it. Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm particularly passionate about skin.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. So let's start there. Like number one, and you've already said it, hydration. So this is sort of what you can use topically on your skin, but also what we're putting into our bodies. So what's sort of a few things that we can do to sort of boost that hydration for our skin?
Absolutely. So let's talk about firstly just water intake. I think a lot of women and men don't realize what a good water intake actually looks like. I literally last week had a client sitting in front of me telling me, oh, I know I have a really good water intake. I have 1 liter a day. That is not for most people. Now, it is usually based on your weight. So if you have a relatively low weight, that's probably enough. There would be very few people that would be enough for. I do a water calculation. So generally I work with 35 mils per kilo of body weight. Yeah. And that includes all water. So if you have like a soup or a smoothie or a casserole or something where there's fluid in the food, that all gets included in that water calculation. And I find when even just that one thing of really boosting water intake can have a dramatic effect on the skin.
Yeah,
dramatic.
And while we're just on water, let's just improvement that can make to your digestive system as well.
Absolutely, which of course is connected to skin.
All right. So let's talk about the role, because gut health plays a huge role in so much, so many aspects of our health. But let's talk specifically about skin health.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a couple of different aspects when we're talking about microbiome and perimenopause and skin health. So I guess let's talk about from the point of view of the gut microbiome. We have, let's call it a portion of our gut microbiome called the estrobolome, as in estrogen. And there are a bunch of microorganisms, mainly bacteria, that are involved in the metabolism of estrogen and getting that out of your body. So if we are not kind of looking after our gut microbiome, if we don't have a really nice balance of our beneficial and non-beneficial bacteria going on, then our estrobolome may not be optimal, and that can impact your estrogen metabolism. And some of the things we see when estrogen metabolism is not where it should be is, of course, skin-related adult acne that we can get in perimenopause. And that can be because we are recirculating old estrogen, absorbing it back through our intestine, and it can cause sort of an elevated PMS. It can, all of those kind of what we call hormonal, in inverted commas, symptoms can be caused, including acne in the skin. Also, obviously, our gut is an organ of detoxification. If we're not pooing frequently and effectively, then you're going to get a toxic buildup. Our skin is also an organ of detoxification. So guess what? We are going to see the results of that in our skin. We could see dullness, we could see breakouts, all of the things. Yeah.
So some of the things that are likely to cause that dysbiosis or that upsetting that gut microbiome. I often talk about sugar and processed foods and alcohol as sort of being the key sort of disruptors there. So
absolutely.
Are there any other sort of obvious ones that we are full of?
Stress is a major one that often gets overlooked. The more I'm in practice, the more I see the impact of stress on people's physical health and in particular their gut. Because when we're in our stress response, as Kylie, our blood is going out to our muscles so we can fight or we can run away. So it's getting diverted away from our not so important organs in that moment when we're fighting for our life is our gastrointestinal tract and our reproductive tract. And of course, our stress response, that part of the nervous system is very basic. If you get a credit card bill, your stress response thinks your life is in danger. That is it. It's either on or it's off. There's no sort of moderation in it. So it's only meant to be going for 20 to 30 seconds to get us out of that danger. But we all know we're all in a fair degree of stress response most of the time with our daily lives. So we need to learn techniques to regulate our own stress response. And that is something that we can all do. It doesn't cost money. You can use it by your breath, just moderating your breath and slowing your breath down tells your hypothalamus the threat is gone. We can calm the farm down. We can drop our cortisol. We can drop our adrenaline, and we can just start digesting our food and all of the rest of it. So stress is massive. So I could talk for days on stress.
Oh, yes. And I think you and I did a whole episode on your podcast about stress. And that's the thing.
Yes.
It's sort of, if we link it all back to the foundations and whether it's good skin, energy, sleep, weight maintenance, whatever, if we link it back to getting the foundations of good nutrition, getting the foundations of hydration, getting the foundations of stress management, we have to put all these things in place, because there's no magic pill that's going to counterbalance impact of living in that high cortisol state and living with you can't out supplement a bad diet either. So you've got to
it's so true. It's so true, Kylie. And when I worked in the pharmaceutical industry, it was a really interesting conversation that we used to have with GPs all of the time, particularly because I worked in cardiovascular health for a reasonable point of my career there. And of course, you're looking at blood pressure medication, statin medication for cholesterol, things like that. And doctors would say to me, patients just want the pill. They just say, come in, I don't want to change my diet, I don't want to exercise, just give me the drugs. Yeah. And that, I think, we're talking close to, and it pains me to say this, 20 years ago. It's like, how can that be 20 years ago? And that was my second career. Yeah, that was more, I guess, the attitude of people in that over 50 age group at that time. And that's what I'm loving about the rise of the wellness industry, is that we're seeing so much more of an open mind and an understanding of the fact that food is so powerful, powerful. Moving the body, so powerful. Breathing, spending time in nature, all of these things we do as part of wellness, and that people like you and I prescribe and guide and support women to bringing into their lives in a way that works for them with ease. That is the key. Yeah. That is the key. The pills are there, and that's great that we have them, but there's nothing better coming. There's nothing better in the pipeline. That's all we've got. But food, our choices that we make every single day to put in our body, to put on our skin, to put in our minds in terms of what we expose our minds to, that all impacts all of our body systems, including our skin, including our hormones, all of it. So,
I know.
Super important.
Yeah, very much so. And I think it's sort of highlighted when you look at other cultures who, you just say the Japanese culture, and there's some South American cultures, they just don't even have a word for menopause.
Yeah.
Like there's no word for hot flush. So it's sort of that Western lifestyle that has created a lot of these symptoms and created a lot of the problems as well. So this is where I say it doesn't have to be horrible. There's so much we can do.
Oh, absolutely. That's the thing. There is so much we can do. And a lot of it is very, very simple. A lot of the things we're doing them anyway, in terms of we're going to eat. Anyway, we're going to breathe. So why not do it in a way that's actually going to really support your health, your well-being, your mindset, your self-esteem, everything? Why not? Just you learn how to do it, of course. It's something that we do need to learn. And we're all different. So we do need different things. We do need the foods that are going to work for us and not against us. Yes. So having that knowledge really helps.
Yeah, and that personalised support too for what's right for your body as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Now, I did want to touch though on other parts of our microbiomes, Kylie, before we move off that. And one is the skin microbiome. The skin microbiome is a really interesting, relatively new microbiome. And there's still a lot of research being done on it. But I thought it was really interesting when I was preparing for this podcast. I did a little bit of reading on what the latest on the skin microbiome is. And there's some really cool stuff going on using AI technology. And researchers can now accurately predict menopausal status by identifying certain bacteria on the skin. And they have repeated it and done some tests in a whole bunch of different ways. They're always getting this consistent answer. So in the future, rather than getting blood tests, which even now a lot of GPs aren't bothering to do bloods to check hormones, they can literally do a little skin scraping and look at your microbiome on your skin and say, yes, you are perimenopausal, postmenopausal, premenopausal. It's unreal. So this is where it's heading.
That is so cool. I didn't know
Isn't
that.
it? Yeah, I didn't know it either. It was
going
like
down that Google rabbit hole later.
Yeah, but I thought that was really cool. And it kind of makes sense because we already know, for example, there are changes in the vaginal microbiome when we hit peri and postmenopause, which means that women, of course, oh joy, are more prone to UTIs as we get older. And that is primarily a microbiome issue. So yeah, there's a number of different microbiomes that we are aware of that impact our skin, and lots that we probably don't even know about yet, and that we're not quite sure even how to harness yet.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you're right, that's just such a big area that we... And the other thing, because where I actually thought you were going with the skin microbiome, is that we've just killed it off with our hand sanitizer.
Well, that's a whole other thing, isn't it?
And when we use things like hand sanitizer, like I'm all for good hand hygiene, don't get me wrong, but I think that soap and water versus, and I guess it comes down to what you're putting on your particular in your face and things like that. If we're putting harsh sort of dry and draining chemicals, we're killing off the good skin microbiome as well as the stuff that we do want to get rid of.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And also just stripping our natural oils and things off as well. And that is important. That's actually a really good point, Kylie. What we're putting topically on our skin definitely matters for a number of reasons. And I'm sure you may have covered this on the podcast before, just from a chemical absorption of what we're putting on our skin. Our skin will absorb what we put on it, including harmful chemicals, and even things like if you work in retail and you're handling FPOS receipts every day, that's got estrogen mimicking chemicals in it that can actually really impact your hormones. So we got to assume that every day we're being kind of exposed to toxins through our skin, and including our skin care. So being as thoughtful as you can be with what you're putting on your body, and it really probably being as simple as you can be. Let's face it. If you think about what our grandparents would have put on their skin, it's nowhere near as complicated as our routines sometimes are.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's it. It's just, ditching all the fragrance, all the perfume, the smelly stuff that we've been programmed to think is better, but actually the plainer we can go, the better.
Absolutely. And particularly when we're looking at hormones, like I couldn't believe for me, because when I left, I mean, I used to wear perfume every single day when I worked in corporate, when I was in the pharmaceutical industry. It was just like a reflex. Put on, again, chemical deodorant. After you put on your chemical skin cream and you put on your chemical makeup, then you put on your perfume. And the difference I saw when I dropped all of that, and that would have only been in 2015 that I just learned more and more about it, started dropping it, and oh my gosh, my hormone health improved so much. My mood improved so much. My skin improved so much. It was dramatic. The really dramatic. And now I wouldn't say I'm sensitive to smell, but I really notice it when someone's wearing a very strong chemical type perfume. It's very noticeable.
Or at the gym or Pilates and someone comes in next to you and they've like over the deodorant or the spray or something like that. And I really catches in the back of my throat now, and I'm like,
I know. And I occasionally will, even if I have because I'm a bit of a hoarder of things, I don't like throwing things out. So if I've got an old lipstick or something like that and I put on, sometimes I can feel that in the back of my throat. And I go, ooh, okay, there's something in there. I need to chuck that. Which again, when you're not educated in this and you're not aware of it, not thinking about it, you would just not even think twice about it. You just go, that's what lipstick does. But actually, no, that's not actually what lipstick does. It's not supposed to feel it in your throat when you put it on your lips.
No, exactly. Hello, I see you there, juggling work, family, life, all while navigating perimenopause and menopause. But guess what? Maybe it's time to break up with the hustle and grind. Going on a retreat is more than just about a vacation. It's an investment in your well-being and a step towards a happier, healthier you. So take a moment, consider the benefits of a retreat and give yourself the gift of rejuvenation and self-care. Self-care is all about giving the best of you, not what's left of you. I want you to save $500 now. Jump in for the Reignite You Retreat. We're running in Bali in April 2024 and October 2024. And yes, we sure do have payment plans available. See you there.
As they say, you don't need to use makeup remover if you're using it. I still don't. I don't know. I'm probably just an old. I like using a little bit of cleanser.
It's been conditioned. It's been ingrained into us.
Yes, absolutely.
Moisturize.
Absolutely. But yeah, since I've been using that, my skin has been so smooth and so soft. And I put all of my clients onto the contact sponge, and they all give me the same feedback, like, oh man, it's so good. Like, have you ever used one, Kylie?
Yes, I've got one in my shower. So
yes,
it must have
so
been
good.
Religious with it, but thank you for the reminder, because I will be.
Yeah, every day I use mine, and I feel my skin just feels it's never felt smoother or softer since using that. That has been, I think, a game changer. I would also say, we were talking about hydration before. So obviously hydration internally, but to put some external hydration on the skin, I think these days, hyaluronic acid should be in every perimenopausal woman's cabinet. It is a really beautiful, light, natural product. You don't need to buy anything fancy. You can just buy hyaluronic acid at the pharmacy, and it's just helps hold that hydration in your skin. And a little trick is actually not to dry off your skin too much. If you've got water on the skin, like from your shower or bath or whatever, to put your moisturizer or any of your serums on while the skin is still wet actually helps, believe it or not. Yeah. It just keeps things really nice and moist there on the skin. Another thing is, of course, using an oil at night. I think probably every woman over 40 should be using an oil. My favorites, I really love argan oil, ARGAN. That's a Moroccan oil. Yeah, I use it in my hair as well. So it's really beautiful. Rosehip oil is another one that's really high in antioxidants. Argan oil does have some research regarding its ability to build collagen. So I mean, I'm not a massive believer in topical collagen products. I believe these days, if they're collagen peptide products, they're probably more likely to be able to enter the skin. But just having a collagen product, topically, we know those molecules are too big to penetrate the skin. They're not really going to build the collagen in your skin. Yeah. But yeah, if the peptide products seem to have better research around that, then argan oil helps. Rosehip oil is more the antioxidant type of oil. Vitamin C is also actually reasonably good for topically placed on the skin, but also can help with getting rid of some of that pigmentation that you were talking about before. Yeah, vitamin C, a really good quality. It has to be in good packaging as well. If it's a jar, like you're taking the lid off and the whole top of the cream is visible, generally, if it's an antioxidant type of cream like vitamin C is, that constant contact to the air is going to break it down. It's not going to be as potent. And I do notice, actually, even when I'm using my rosehip oil, when I get to the bottom of it, it's a lot more clear than when I first open it. It's quite rich in color. Yes. The first time I noticed that was when I emptied one bottle. I went to open the next bottle. I went, wow, the difference in color was dramatic.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's because it just oxidizes as it gets exposed to the oil. So packaging does matter.
Yep.
From that point of view. They're probably my main go-tos is using those types of products.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. So it doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be expensive. We just need to be aware of it. We need to be consistent and just do it differently. So move away from the chemicals and into your basic skincare.
Yes. Absolutely. I think that's really important. Also, in terms of nutrition, there's a few things like fruits and veggies that are brightly colored, always going to be on the Nutritionist playlist because of the antioxidants, for your skin, and levels of vitamin C, etc., that are in those types of foods. I'm always telling my women to increase their cruciferous veggies to support their hormone balance. So you're just Google them. They're things like your kale, your cabbage, your cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, all that sort of thing. The only caution, of course, with women over 40, if you have a weakness in your thyroid, you just need to cook them really well. Yeah, if you've got no thyroid issues, it's no problem.
Yes.
Also, I really like flaxseed oil as an internal. Well, it's really high in omega-3s. It helps keep that hydration, and it's an oil that doesn't have a lot of flavor. So you can pop it in a smoothie, you can pop it in a bit of yogurt, you can use it on a salad. You can't cook with it. But yeah, I find that's really beautiful for skin to get that glow as well.
It's beautiful in salad dressings too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, really beautiful with a bit of apple cider vinegar. Sweet. And prebiotic foods. So foods that are high in fibers that your good gut bacteria like to feed on. And it also helps with that bowel clearance. So we want to be pooing as often as possible, at least once a day, 1 to 3 times a day.
Susie as well. It's not just me banging on that.
Oh no. I have my Bristol stool chart on speed dial, and it's just a thing where you want to get the toxins out of the body. And it's going to improve so many aspects of your health, not just your skin, not just your hormone balance, but so many things. So yeah, that's actually, we joke about it, but it is really important to be doing that. But also some of the collagen supporting nutrients, I'm a little bit kind of hesitant to promote collagen. I do feel that there's still not a huge amount of evidence that having collagen as a supplement is actually getting into the skin. If you are going to have collagen for skin-related purposes, the marine collagen is the one to go for. I do take it. Having said that, I do take it just in case. Yeah. And I quite like taking it. I can't say I notice a big difference when I'm not taking it. Like, I'm not taking it at the moment because I've run out and I haven't bought any, and so I haven't been on it for probably at least a month. And I can't say I'm noticing a huge difference. So
yeah, no, I tend to agree. And I think when we start going into those single nutrients, our body doesn't work just on one nutrient. So our body needs a whole collection. So we actually need all of our amino acids, not just one. So I'm with you there. Rather get a good quality protein powder if you're going to have
definitely
like that over just collagen alone.
Yeah, I agree, Kylie. And the thing is, what a lot of people don't realize is collagen is just made of 3 to 4 amino acids. It's not, and that's what you'll get in a protein powder. So
you're getting it anyway.
Hesitant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm hesitant. As I said, I don't have my collagen at the moment. I don't know if I'm going to bother getting any more because I'm just going to wait and see if I notice any difference.
Beware the marketing is what.
Yeah. And if you're going to do it, don't get a flavored one. No. A lot of those, flavors are just rubbish. Just get a plain powder that's unflavored. There's plenty of them around. Make sure it's just a good quality, if possible.
Yes.
It's very difficult because there's a lot of rubbish out there, to be honest.
Indeed.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Yeah. I wouldn't be remiss if I could just do a little plug for my own supplement that I have called Energy Glow NR, which does have all of the nutrients that you need to build good collagen. It's got indications through the TGA for skin regeneration, for liver detoxification, for thyroid, for energy. It's got a very special ingredient called nicotinamide riboside, which has got some very special, how can I say it, healthy aging kind of properties. So you can find that at,
and great for skin, the BC prevention as well.
Yes, like so many things. Some things I can talk about, some of them I can't. It's just an amazing product. You can find that. You can find that at theglowprotocol.com.au, and I'm happy to provide a discount code to get $30 off your purchase. And I'll tell Kylie about that. She can pop it in the show notes.
Amazing. Yes. No, thank you. And yeah, I would happily recommend all of Susie's skincare products. So I will definitely have those in the show notes.
Great.
And Susie has very kindly also given us her 8 essential age-defying secrets. So we will put that, you can download, and we'll put the link to that in our show notes as well.
Yes.
So
yes.
Amazing. So you're all going to be looking gorgeous and glowing.
Yes, and glowing. Yes. We love to glow, don't we, Kylie?
We do. All right, Susie. Well, it has been amazing having you on the show today. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, like I said, all of Susie's contact details, including her 8 essential age-defying secrets, will be in our show notes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kylie. It's been really fun. I love talking about skin, and I really appreciate being on the show.
Oh, anytime. You're always welcome back. Thanks, Susie. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. You can head on over to the show notes at kyliepinwill.com/podcast, where you'll find all the links. Now, before we go, it would mean the world to me if you'd head on over to your favourite podcast channel, subscribe and leave a review. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Then stay tuned for next week's episode, and I can't wait to see you then.